Nobody's fake home movies of the CMBR trip. Nobody invited everyone from TowQuest and the government over to see some home movies of his trip to the CMBR. Because, well, he had some leftover material and went through the joke book again. Attendees included the CIA, FBI, NSA, DNA, and 3 former presidents. President Younger Bush would have come too, but alas, he was on vacation for a month, shooting lame ducks and leakers. Pasta and antipasta was served for dinner, depending on one's universal orientation.
A few mixed it, trying to cancel out the effects of eating too much, and then promptly exploded from both ends.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Shakespeare raised his hand.
What's the question?
To be or not to be?
Good answer.
How did you survive after you left the last Daily Planet restaurant?
I picked up some frozen food in the Ice Age.
But how did you cook it?
Remember, there were microwaves all around.
Any great words to characterize the epic journey to the CMBR? Asked Rascal Puff. Did you get lost? Asked Frederick. S1, Veni Vidi Velcro. I came, I saw, and I stuck around.
I never get lost, even if I'm told to. I discover alternate destinations.
Did you understand everything?
Often I thought I did, but then I regained consciousness.
Also, did Mother Earth and Father Time produce the cosmic egg? Chicken Man probed. Were any chickens harmed during the making of your film?
Inconceivable, but I like your approach. Now let's see your departure.
What's reality really? Asked McKirkpatrick.
Much ado about nothing.
What did you see in the Garden of Time?
There were glimmers and gleams and golden dappled lights like stars hovering and floating slowly about the scene, and a door that invited me into the inner sanctum of the Night Watchman's mainspring. There I found Care, a gentle old man who sat silently by the sundial in Time's sanctuary and slowly marked the hours by the shadows that crept over the face of eternity. I asked him, "What time is it?"
And he answered to my surprise, "Do you mean now?"
Now that we know the secrets of the universe, what remains as the ultimate question?
It is, why do squirrels always run back under your car after they are already in the clear?
Some things remain unfathomable, ruminated Puff. How are you feeling? Wasn't the trip quite a strain on you?
What is the purpose of life?
To let it flow through you.
What is your first memory of flowing life?
I do remember being a gleam in my father's eye, my first glint of spirit, and half of me seems to remember shooting down some sort of tube and emerging into some liquid, then some kind of Olympic swimming race and emerging with an oval football kind of thing and an endless floating about for many months. Then, about a month before I was born, I heard some sounds like coochie coochie coo. Who's in there? Then, the day before I was born, a voice told me that there is a whole big world out there, and I thought, no, there can't be. There is only water and calm and darkness. That's all there is. There can be nothing more. I guess I was not such a visionary back then. Then the next day, I remember it well since I was born right on my birthday, but had no party until a year later. I was thrust into the light, and I think my first words were, well, it's a bit hard to recall them since I was very young when I was born. But since I am a writer, I did speak my first words early, and I think they were, "Does anyone have a pair of sunglasses? It's awfully bright out here."
I don't understand the new road signs.
A four-way stop sign means to use the foot brake, then downshift, pull the emergency brake, and drag your foot as the four ways. Stop ahead says that ahead is in the road. Watch out for children means don't hug, fondle, kiss, touch, or sweet talk beneath the sign, for you may do the conceivable. So get a room. Bike path. The official path for bikes is between the two yellow lines in the middle of the road. Also remember that if you speed up when you see a yellow light, it will never turn red, since its frequency shifts toward green as you near C, the speed of light. Furthermore, morons always drive slower than you, and idiots drive faster than you. Finally, jaywalkers have the right of death.
It was time to show the movie again, but larger, so nobody powered up his 8-foot diagonal iPhone.
Bored, Profat tried to sneak out the window to go do some exciting accounting.
Meanwhile, Frederick tried dividing by 0 on his calculator. Abraham Lincoln wrote a historic address on the wrong side of an envelope. Graybeard counted the spots on the ceiling and connected the dots into a pleasing image. Austin fell asleep. McKirkpatrick went to Turkey before it could be devoured by Hungary. Rascal slipped off into the 7th dimension for a while, the heavenly realm. MJA remarked that boredom is not really equal to excitement after all.
The trip wasn't all that interesting at first, said Nobody, as we now live in the most amazing of all time. Soon we may be able to alter our own DNA and further speed evolution on its way. We have just heard the Big Bang and have sprung off of the starting line. The human race is on.
We are perhaps 1% of the way along to perfection. The possibilities for the finish line are endless, for scientific revelations are entering the fast lane almost daily. Life now is really a royal diadem of momentous gems shining through us all. We live in the best of times as the universe is truly ours to experience. It is the ultimate free lunch. How do you account for that, Profat? Please contribute to ToeQuest, for that's where everything is happening. We accept all denominations, but we prefer 20s and 100s.
I couldn't reveal everything at our last meeting since there were too many government snoops about. I thank you all for mixing in some silly questions with the serious ones, although I'm not sure which were which, and for sitting through the home movies, which I must now tell you were fake. I know the films were difficult to watch, but I needed your honest reactions. The government pretty much thinks we are all nuts and Star Trek fans. Thanks. Also, for the misdirection of posting many weird and crazy theories about existence on ToeQuest. Which ones were which again? We must be very suspicious of those who would be so low as to manipulate the reception of reality for their own amplitude and gain. By the way, I heard that many of you have altered your interference patterns to lose 20 to 30 pounds. Anyway, all of reality is at stake here, and none but us can be trusted with the recent revelations. Just look at the cutthroat competition over discovering and explaining dark matter, even among reputable scientists. Many are spending millions and using deep mine shafts to avoid cosmic rays in order to try and detect one little measly, weakly interacting massive particle, WIMP, the most promising efforts of which are occurring in the defunct Homestake gold mine in South Dakota, which is deeper than 6 Empire State Buildings, in which they have built a haystack and are looking for a needle in it. This is a small potato and small fries to what we have discovered about the CMBR, the toe itself, without the prefix POTA. You can thank Dan Quayle for the spelling, not my trip. So anyway, the attention is off of us for now, and we have a clear channel. However, the government did a routine background check on me and discovered that I don't exist, for I am nobody. My past has no history and my future is a mystery, nor do I have a presence in the present. They are as hot on my case as they would be for illegal aliens, and so they have given me a past imperfect, and so have made my future tense. Therefore, I have taken refuge in a certain uncharted mountaintop retreat, where we will gather in a month or so to discuss the contents of the true CMBR home movie tape, that I've sent you all with your plane tickets.
Shouldn't we return Abraham Lincoln to his own time?
Not so fast. We're thinking of running him against Hillary Clinton, for he's now the only honest politician on earth.
Can I wear my new t-shirt about the theory of thing that says forget everything, there is only one thing, energy?
That's fine, but my none thing is no thing. Yes, but why do you have so many questions? It's one. Mine is food. My one thing is two parallel lines. Can I bring my lounge chair that is made of energy?
I asked Austin for a bigger part. Michael Kirkpatrick, I've been looking all over for that energy, and here I am sitting on it. Well, try not to let any escape. Okay guys, our synergy will produce all the energy we need. Where's the punchline? The protection of the secret of reality is a serious undertaking, not a fun arrow. Remember, the jokes are over. What about egg jokes?
The yoke is on you.
Is there a void anywhere? I would avoid a void like the plague, since nature abhors a vacuum, and since no void has coughed up or voided anything but a whole lot of goose eggs. What about the void that Profat wrote on a check?
That was unavoidable.
How do I ride a motorcycle without falling over?
I will give you one with gyroscopes front and back that look like wheels.
But I live in Australia.
My condolences.
Is this secret meeting place anything to do with Austin's mountaintop hideaway?
Rascal's question hung in the air, filled with curiosity and a hint of mischief.
Is your answer an untruth, he added, for security purposes? No.
I ain't not lying about nothing, no way, no how, or nothing exists.
As nobody elaborated on the peculiar economics of thoughts and pennies, the scene took on a whimsical air, blending humor with a touch of the surreal. S4. Meanwhile, we're serving free lunches for everyone and giving away a lot of other stuff, for Profat has been giving people a penny for their thoughts and then keeping the change when they put in their 2 cents worth. The prospective operatives received after midnight calls, stating, "It will be a pleasure to instruct potential agents so well conditioned and already knowledgeable in so many fields. We will merely hone a few of your reflexes that may have become dulled. Training begins with a challenging journey to our nearest center. Meanwhile, you might practice walking around in the dark with a cat." Each received more individual and specific instructions, along with a suggested route. Rascal's instructions read, "You will need to ride a bike rather soon along the dark country roads with many dips and hills, twists and turns, from your home to our facility. No lights are allowed. You should consider beforehand what you will do about any blinding headlights coming at you, and how you will navigate the pitch-dark areas of roads when you pass through dense forests. A cold Diet Coke with vitamins awaits you. Good luck. This is not a drill, for there are those who have just recently become aware of your many talents." Rascal made his preparations and then finished some work on the expanding universe. Out the window, he could see 6 FBI-looking black sedans pulling up very quickly. He grabbed a water bottle and raced out the back door so fast that a faint image of himself was left standing in the house. He hopped on his bicycle and was off and away while the feds broke down the front door, which was already unlocked. The bike ride was going to be a lot worse than he had thought, for there was no moon. Rascal reached 15th gear on a down slope and only downshifted when it became harder to pedal, of course, finally just inching along in first gear upon a steep upslope, where he stopped to survey the scene and have a sip of H2O. "I knew this would happen when we discovered the workings of everything," he thought, feeling both elated and deflated in a sort of yin-yang balance. Rascal was soon off again and sailing along when a car with bright lights approached him from the opposite direction. Rascal closed his right eye just before his left was blinded by the lights, then quickly opened his right eye after the car had passed. Whew, that was close, he thought, after swiftly correcting out of the way of a mailbox. He next rode on a road through a densely forested area and could see virtually nothing at all, but he didn't panic and quickly gazed downward at the white line at the side of the lane for guidance, but it was really rather scary, and much worse than walking into a dark movie theater and sitting down on a fat lady. Anything for the DNA information, he thought. He noted some flickering lights bouncing off the trees ahead, meaning that they were coming from way behind him. Knowing this without even having to look back, for this is how it is riding at night, he pulled over into a ditch behind some bushes and watched 6 black sedans pass by at about 90 miles an hour. "Holy mother of all reality," he exclaimed softly. Rascal checked his map and was off again in 79th gear, going so fast that he didn't care to stop for a large truck coming up behind him, and couldn't anyway. So he hugged the side of the road and threaded the white lane marker, sticking to it like a glue-on as the truck swept alongside. Then, quickly swerving towards the rear of the truck, he drafted behind it uphill, defying gravity at its own game and losing it to the wind. He cut through a trail in the woods as shown on his map and could see the ninja training center just ahead. It was raising its drawbridge to close for the night. Rascal raced up the ramp, sailed through the air, and came down on the other side, coasting into the safety of the center. A Diet Coke never tasted so good. Rascal had a good sleep, dreaming of riding a motorcycle, and awoke the next day to begin further training. A 9th degree Grandmaster appeared and disappeared and reappeared. "Welcome to Training Center, Mr. Puff Rascal," he said. "I am lucky to be here, Grandmaster," Rascal replied. "And the drawbridge, do you close at 4 a.m.? "What do you hear? I hear that the whole world is after me and the others. Ha ha, good joke. Now seriously, can you hear your own heartbeat?" "Good, they run on and no post is readable. Can you hear a vacuum?" "No, the cleaning lady went home." "Ah, you catch on, you rascal. Do you have hearing aids?" "We teach you, but in many places the sun does not shine. Does the moon shine?" "Alcohol dulls my senses." "Ah, good. Can you hear the earth turning?" "Yes, and space too." "Why do you often leave out articles and other little words in your speech?" "Unnecessary. Maybe. Try adding a word or two." "You wise old man." "Never mind. But you still hear the missing words, do you not, Grasshopper Puff?" "Well, now let's dive right into our little adventure, shall we?"
Ah, yes, I see. That is part of the hearing test.
"Oh, but hold your horses there, partner."
You know, see, this hearing test. You're a good listener, and of course I can speak perfect English, except in the UK. Yes, once a lady in a hotel asked me for a lift, and it didn't go over very well when I lifted her up.
Thank you, first-degree ninja puffing rascal. Me, I am deaf and wife is blind. Therefore we make perfect couple.
A wanted poster soon went up in the posting offices all over the world. FBI agents fanned out all over the globe in search of all the escaping scientific toe questers.
"Wait, hold it," said Greybeard into a dead line. "The mermaid mate, and I don't even have a boat."
Greybeard was testing his new scuba diving equipment after taking a long walk off a short pier, waiting for his ship to come in that would take him way out onto the Great Barrier Reef, where he would continue to investigate life under the sea and post some more of his findings. He had just discovered a mermaid swimming toward him below, while a dark fate was arriving above.
Nobody's warnings to him of impending doom had been slightly delayed by his remote location. However, Greybeard's waterproof mobile phone soon rang underwater, and he listened amazed as instructions were given to proceed to the ninja base across the bay, ending with "Hurry, mate," and then click. Why can't these guys ever learn how to park?
He climbed up onto the pier just in time to see 6 gray MI6 sedans pulling up to the beach and screeching to a halt, some of them slipping on into the water. Greybeard didn't run but walked, for they didn't know what he looked like and because many boaters were milling about.
He calmly grabbed a beer from someone's boat, took off some of his diving equipment, and looked around for the fastest boat that he could steal or borrow forever. Why did I get involved with this tow stuff, already knowing that he had to since it was the most ultimate quest of all? The Holy Grail. We are the Knights of the Temporal. He picked up his pace when he saw the agents swarming onto the pier and checking everyone out. They must have Google unearthed me, he surmised. "Excuse me," Greybeard said politely as he bumped someone off their speedboat. "It's life or life in confinement." He puttered away slowly, but MI6 suspected him because he looked like James Bond, and so they all ran to the end of the pier, wildly firing tranquilizer darts.
Greybeard was good at darts, and so he threw them back, giving some zzz to a couple of them, and then pushed full throttle ahead through a group of jet skiers and off into the bay.
It's gray against gray, he decided.
MI6 was unloading something gray and floatable.
He looked back after a while, only to see 6 MI6 high-speed gray powerboats pursuing him. I'm no match for these, although I do have a lead, but to where? He was hitting the speed bumps of the waves and driving as reckless as the boat safety course had told him not to, and was nearly blinded by the spray, but then remembered that he still had his goggles on. They'll never torture the toe out of me, but if they tickle my foot, I may have to die laughing.
After some time, they began closing in on him with no land in sight, and so his whole life of informational posts began to pass before his eyes. Forces, electricity, Numina, sea creatures, quarks, evolution, getting tanked at the Many Worlds pub. Tanks? Fuel tanks? A huge ocean liner had just come over the horizon at full speed, but Greybeard doubted he could get to it for any assistance, for his unrelenting shadows were inexorably approaching, much as the night follows the day, now but a kilometer behind.
Thanks for the memories, everyone, he sighed.
As they drew near, Greybeard jettisoned 3/4 of his fuel and shot a flare into both the inflammable and flammable stuff at just the right moment, causing a ruckus and disabling 2 of the boats.
Good try, Greybeard the pirate, he said to himself, who answered back, but probably not good enough. A bit of time had been saved while 2 agents were being rescued by the other MI6 boats, but it was only going to prolong his agony and delay for but a short while their ecstasy of capturing him. Back at full speed for 6 more kilometers, but with his fuel now getting low, Greybeard felt the exhilaration of his last hurrah on this earth as the feds were closing in on him again. The ocean liner was approaching very close, but there would be no time for him to sneak aboard unobserved. Not even Tom Clancy could save him now. This is it, he thought. Die or die. Ready to protect the toe at any or all cost, Greybeard steered his boat with a last-minute adjustment toward a head-on collision with the ocean liner, and then lay down in the front of the boat. The ocean liner struck Greybeard's boat amidships, breaking it in 2, accompanied by a huge fireball explosion of the rear portion that the amazed MI6 agents took as his epitaph. That's 2 tanks for the memories, said Greybeard with bubbles coming out of his mouth as he assembled the last of his scuba gear, tanks, fins, and mouthpiece underwater, noting the raging firestorm up above. He swam on, 30 feet submerged, for a kilometer or 2 to vacate the area, then sat down on the bottom of the sea and drank an amber fluid. Beer, in English. Here's to the toe. May it never fall into the wrong hands. And are we going to the ninja center in this putt-putt? Well, hooly-dooly, Greybeard answered. Did nobody send you? I give you 5th degree.
A small rowboat appeared out of nowhere with a robed black ninja waving to him. G'day, mate. Good on ya.
Cut the stride. I need some Zeds. Zzz.
2 right.
Tom Clancy wished them well, and they rowed toward the ninja outpost. No man look for rowboat and no man be island, said the 5th degree Grandmaster.
Whatever you say, PhD.
Darkness fell as they entered the training ground, and Greybeard was going to sleep well, dreaming of fish women.
Eye test time, Growbeard, said the 9th degree Grandmaster.
Printed by Accuvision 2005, S5, please read line bottom of chart. S1, shut eye time, protested Greybeard.
No, sorry, Grayman. Please close ears. What's C? 2 eyes. Do you think I lost one as a pirate? You have good eye.
Okay, I'll see you eye to eye. S5, now Greatbeard, we teach you mind's eye. S1, I see you are going to end up in the ICU.
That better. Still seeing mermaid?
We broke up, finished, due to my imminent death.
Befriend. We teach you seeing in dark.
I already have X-ray vision, and hey, why is your underwear so ragged? What if you have to go to the hospital, like real soon?
You find sight full of seaweed, but good eye too. I give you 4 eyes. 2 eyes.
I don't need glasses.
What if TOE scientist woman blind since birth named Mary regains sight? Knows she what color banana is?
Well, I thought not. And since I know her, I tried to trick her and showed her a blue banana.
She say not banana.
How do you know that?
While blind, she knew everything about banana.
Well, I'll be darned. Teach me more.
See you, woman on moon.
See you later.
The MI6 boats are chasing and catching up to Greybeard's motorboat. Ready to protect the secret crystal at any or all cost, Greybeard steered his motorboat with a last-minute adjustment toward a head-on collision with the ocean liner, and then laid down in the front of the boat. The ocean liner struck Greybeard's boat amidships, breaking it in two, accompanied by a huge fireball explosion of the rear portion that the amazed MI6 agents took as his epitaph. They stayed and searched the area, but found no trace of Greybeard. They put a hand over their hearts and saluted the brave tow quester, then headed back to shore in disgrace. "That's 2 tanks for the memories," said Greybeard, underwater, with bubbles coming out of his mouth as he assembled the last of his scuba gear. Tanks, fins, and mouthpiece, noting the raging firestorm up above. He swam on, 30 feet submerged for a kilometer or two to vacate the area, then sat down on the bottom of the sea and drank the amber fluid, beer. "Here's to the secret crystal. May it never fall into the wrong hands." Frederick, a master of foreign languages, flew the model of the unbroken universal vase to Oslo, Norway, and then took a short vacation in Russia from working on nothing. He was out and about the town and sitting in a restaurant awaiting a delicious roast duck when he received an emergency evacuation order from Nobody's ninjas to immediately hoof it over to the train station. "Chow, chow," he thought to himself. On his way out, he grabbed a cheeseburger from someone who wasn't looking and calmly walked out the front door and on down the street. Looking back, he saw the police surrounding the restaurant, as well as his car. "Holy King Tut's tomb," he exclaimed. "They really want to control the world with the toe. They are probably after my drawing too, the one showing the pyramidal opposition of the weak and strong nuclear forces and the transition of the electric and magnetic forces." He patted his underarm, checking that his pistol was still there, and sauntered down the street. "How did they find me?" His cell phone rang and a voice said, "How find you, Mr. Fred, is by pyramid in front yard. Please proceed to train station. 905 train north. Hurry, click." Frederick walked and jogged a ways without further incident, and entered a tunnel that would take him under the train tracks to the station. He hesitated at first, seeing that the tunnel was dimly lit by only a single light bulb in the center. but then moved on in, not wanting to miss the train. His cell phone began ringing off the hook and alerted him as follows. 4 KGB red sedans arriving each end of tunnel. Make good plan fast. Frederick reflected a moment, sizing up the scene. He quickly walked to the center of the tunnel, took off his sweater, draped it over his shoulder, and stood under the lone light. He could hear the red KGB sedans screeching to a halt at each end, some of them going a bit too far and denting their fenders. Very poor and reckless drivers. 8 KGB agents entered the tunnel and 3 approached from either direction, the remaining 2 staying back as rear guards, 1 at each end of the tunnel. "Hands up," said the KGB leader in English as they all pointed tranquilizer guns at Frederick, front and back. "No. Must I repeat the command? Raise up your hands or go to sleep." "No," replied Frederick. "I must know who asks me." The agents approached a bit closer. "I am famous Colonel Platov. You will follow orders or be subdued and severely beaten. Behind you is Dmitri, my best and most merciless captain with his team. You have nowhere to go, Frederick. Raise your hands. Be searched. Come with us peacefully. And we won't even have to use the tranquilizer darts." "Okay," answered Frederick, "as long as you put it that way." The agents approached slowly from Frederick's front and back as he began to raise his hands. They were about 20 feet away now. "No contest," said Frederick. "I'll be passing on to the other side. It's lights out for me." Frederick raised his hands quickly and smashed the light bulb, then attached his sweater to the fixture, having noted the spot beforehand, slipped off his shoes and left them there, and let out a blood-curdling scream that seemed to echo from all directions at once. The KGB thought Frederick was charging them, but in actuality he had just slipped sideways noiselessly without his shoes, and had squatted down, hugging the wall of the tunnel that had just been plunged into total darkness. Darts began flying through the darkness towards the Screech, but Platov, a seasoned KGB veteran, called out, "Stop! We're only hitting each other. I have one down. Dmitri?" "One as well, Colonel," Platov added quickly. "Link hands and sweep ahead, touching the walls. He is still somewhere between us." Frederick felt the edge of a coat almost touch him, but just about then the agents reached his hanging sweater and his shoes on the floor. There was an intense struggle with Frederick's abandoned clothes and shoes, some agents even punching each other out in the darkness. Thus, during this time, Frederick scooted along, found the napping agent, and removed his coat. While moving toward the end of the tunnel, Frederick encountered another body against the wall and thought, "That's funny," Dmitri said. Only one was down. Frederick halted, noting that there was some ambient light at the end of the tunnel, and that there would be no way to slip past the rear guard undetected. A whistle and a rumble indicated that the northbound train was arriving. Frederick, wearing the borrowed KGB coat, walked calmly toward the rear guard, who tensed and pointed his weapon. Frederick then whispered in Russian from several feet away, "It's me, Dmitri." And so the guard relaxed a bit, and it was in this split second that Frederick leapt toward him and clunked him on the head with his pistol, took the guard's shoes, put them on, then ran up to the platform and jumped aboard the already departing train. "I am really Russian now." It was Frederick's lucky day, and that roast duck was on the dining car menu, and so he ordered it. At the next station, Frederick looked out the window and saw the 5 agents, minus 1 clunker and the 2 sleepers, running for the train and boarding the rear cars just as they were pulling away. Frederick's duck began to take flight again as he ran to the end of the dining car and uncoupled the remainder of the train, pretty much leaving it sitting in the station. Good training. The KGBers then notified their top man, General Burkov, who happened to be in the vicinity aboard his own lavish private train, of their latest defeat. Burkov gave new orders to his engineer. Frederick jumped onto another train. He ran back through the dining car, the sleeper cars, the baggage car, and onto the engine, showing his TowQuest membership card and advising the engineer that he should leave the train for his own safety. About then, General Burkov's train came off a siding at high speed and onto Frederick's track, about 3 miles behind. Frederick noted this oddity, thinking that trains are not scheduled this closely. and so he continued onward until he saw a signal for an upcoming sighting, and stopped his train just beyond it, got out, and switched the main track onto the siding that led to an old abandoned mine, and just stood there to witness the action, carrying his roast duck. This should be good. Burkhoff came roaring much too fast around the curve, spotted the track switch too late, and tried an emergency stop, but his train kept going onto the siding and off toward the deserted mine shaft. Burkhoff and friends jumped off at the last minute just before the entire train plunged into the mine shaft and was swallowed into the 18-story depths, never to be seen again. Shafted! Burkhoff cursed. No one does this to me and lives. Send forth every agent and every train. Frederick hopped back on the engine, not planning to be on it much longer, for it wasn't healthy and it wasn't all that far to the ninja base, 10 miles perhaps. He could take to the forest and walk. The roast duck was still with him, and so he finally got to sample it. In a while, a shadow appeared and came to life beside Frederick, saying, "Good moves, Frederick son. I give you 3rd degree now. I am 9th degree ninja grandmaster. You not see me come, move like wind and go like water. S1, hello 9th. I heard you breaking wind and going water." Come on, that speech figure. Beside those a while back. I wear black, come out of black between bush, appear as nothing. I'm an expert on nothing. They heard an explosion. We take care of light at other end of tunnel, some kind of speeding red KGB engine. Thanks, but where was my protection from the 8 KGB agents in the first place in the first tunnel? Good training. But I there in second place in tunnel to protect you, said the ninja, but you not need me. You were there in the tunnel? Yes, I there. You touched me once. Oh yeah, thanks for being there. I thought I had an arithmetic problem. Okay, but was that it? Just you? That even too much. Just need half of me, but I know like banana split, so bring whole self. Ha ha. Good one, half and half. They walked on for many, many miles. How going, Fred? I'm just putting 1 foot ahead of the other. We getting near outer zone of base, Fred? Maybe see some magic stuff. Yes, when cross zone, hear the sweetest, saddest music ever. It go down deep, but also energized. No one can be ready for this. S1, really? Okay, here come. Tears streamed from Frederick's eyes. You're right. There was no way to be ready for that. It reminds one about the plight of humanity, energizing one to aid the cause. They arrived at the ninja base and went in. S1, I'm ready. Now, Fred, sir, do some taste test. This Coke or Pepsi? Neither. It is RC Diet Cola from a can. Nice try. Ah, you have good taste. Now, what wine this be? It's a non-alcoholic sparkling grape beverage from Holland. Ah, Fred, but what year? This year. Now you taste this, as he pulled a piece of duck out of his pocket. Ah, yes, duck from Peking, South Region. Very good. Now, what taste really consists of? Well, although taste buds vary somewhat, there being 3 main classes, it all really comes down to the length of the vectors of the taste matrix of sweet, salt, bitter, and sour. Yes, Sir Fred, fine taste. So, someone say something tastes no good, then? We don't believe them, since their taste buds may be different from ours. Some see different color too. That why some look like dressed in dark? S1, yes, slightly. Yes, that could be, but you dress for the dark in the dark and go forth into the dark, so why wear anything? Ah, good. Haha, what best taste ever. The taste of eternity that I am tasting right now. Ah, Frederick, you wise man. As wise guy you. More ha-ha. Why not shoot pistol in tunnel? What if you get desperate or have to sneeze? S1. Then the better I know where they are to shoot them. Narrator. Good. What if they put light? S1. Well, there was nowhere to aim, plus they could have identified my position from the chamber barrel flash before I had a chance to shoot them all. Yes, I am a traffic planner and must consider all directions, even up and down and underground through tunnels. Narrator. All this plan in 1 minute make? S1. Then I cock the pistol and throw it where I'm not, as I run away. Hopefully it fires where it lands and draws their attention to it and away from me as I escape. No, truth stranger than fiction. S1. Fine, go ahead, but I always thought they made these things up. Narrator. Well, you mind if we sell story to detective mystery writer DeMille? Make money? No can fool you. S1. Yes, that is his name. Narrator. How long is a Chinaman? S1, any more tests? Yes, they cancel and a duck appears, for since I didn't see everything but a duck, then I must have seen a duck. But even this is not for sure. S1, you hear of double negative like didn't see no duck? Yeah, right, S1, yes, maybe you ate duck. Now there's no such thing as double positives. Good one. What you study lately? Very hard state to maintain, so maybe not exist. S1, nothing. Really? Yes, it would take a god or some force to keep nothing intact, but then not really nothing for other stuff there. That my theory. And nothing really, very little. A small point, a void to avoid. Not much, no big deal, some zilch. Prof. Pat couldn't afford to buy a helicopter as his instructions had suggested, even after stripping Chicago dry of short change. So, frugal as he was, he bought something much cheaper and studied up on it. The prof was sleeping after resting up from a nap so he could deliver an important lecture on creative accounting in San Francisco when he received a frantic call from a calm ninja to begin his West Coast trip immediately, if not sooner. Prof. Pat gathered up some spare pencils, loaded his turbo-powered station wagon with what he needed, and took off before trouble could arrive, grabbing a cup of coffee on the way out. He drove and drove and drove some more and soon passed the foothills of the Rocky Mountains where he was still supposed to practice some things. However, he had noted 6 dust trails or devils following him many miles behind. Prof remembered that nobody in a private message to all had hinted at some dark and very probable futures for the Earth that he'd observed when taking a wrong turn in time during the CMBR trip. One of them being the fate of Earth from global warming. However, all was not lost, for the good-hearted TOE-questers could perhaps use their knowledge of the newly discovered TOE to alter the dim future somehow, if only they could learn all the nuances quick enough over the coming years ahead of the doom. The naturalist, for instance, would be able to absorb with awestruck reverence scenes of overpowering sublimity far beyond the simple prettiness on offer now. A musician would be able to hear and play music more exhilarating and heartfelt than anyone had ever dreamed of. The celestial music of the spheres heard by the mystics would become as a child's toy flute in comparison to this grand and ultimate symphony. The sensualist would discover that what had passed for deep and passionate sex had been merely a pleasant prelude. Erotic pleasure of an intensity that flesh had never known would become enjoyable without guilt, even by thought alone. A painter or patron of the visual arts would be able to behold representative vision in a holographic reality of indescribable glory and completeness. Scientists would be able to apply a googolplex of neurons to their thought experiments, rivaling Einstein's fortunate aha moments all of the time, to reveal much of what was unknown between heaven and earth. Arguments by people insisting on their own selfish ways would melt into a new sense of increased reasoning, just as bad and aversive emotions would be greatly lessened by new and safer medical miracles. Wars would become much reduced, and humanity at large could finally progress beyond its everyday suffering. Prof. Pat landed in San Francisco and began his lecture on being accountable in some colossal skyscraper's conference room whose grandeur befitted the importance of accounting. For where would the world be without transactions, the accounting of which was the very language of business? The lecture was entitled The GAAP Between the CPA and the CGA in Using the IFRs. It soon began. The basic accounting principles of the double-entry debit-credit system have not changed since the days of ancient Greece and Rome, in that we must stay up all night until they balance, that is, until Enron dropped out of the Big Five that we now call the Big Four. The lecture was about to go on, but it was so boring that Austin's story allows the waiting fed-ups to immediately rush toward the podium. Prof. Pa threw very sharp pencils at them, greatly slowing them down, accidentally erasing a few of them, along with some quirks, income tax, big accounts, and some green eye shades, and then disappeared behind the curtain and ran up the stairs toward the skyscraper's roof, not even stopping for a smoke or at a pencil sharpener. The feds ran down the stairs and found no one but their lawyer, who said, "You fools, these stairs that go down, do they not also go up?" So he reversed his charges and sent them up, but a bit too late, for Prof Pat was already winging away like a duck. No, wait, ducks were in Frederick's story. He winged away like a foul bird, airfoiling the Federals yet again. The feds called in 6 black FBI sedan helicopters. See, Prophet, maybe you should have bought one. To follow him, as he received another message. Stealth black Ninja aircraft carrier waiting for you beyond U.S. boundary and international waters. Profat flapped his seemingly real and movable organs for flying, wings and rose, and dove in rises and dives to outwit the helicopters and lose them for a while as he flew through a cloud with his mouth open to get a drink of the refreshing water droplets. It was cat and mouse for a while until the cheese disappeared in the fog. He then used the heat rising off the Golden Gate Bridge to fly on through the end of twilight, intending to use the darkness for cover beyond the city's lights. However, this ending of dusk also meant that the ocean was no longer trading brisk breezes with the shore, and that he would begin to lose altitude. Death, where is thy victory? To triumph whilst I die, to triumph whilst thine ebon wing enfolds my shuddering soul. Death, where is thy sting? Shelley. Sure enough, he began dropping 30 feet a second over the ocean, and still had 25 miles to go. This is it. I'm an overdue account, pound foolish, though penny-wise, but overdrawn. At least they didn't get the toe from me. Naughts, oughts, and all that he ever taught, bought, sought, and fought, flashed before his red-inked eyes as he intentionally dropped like a stone for short whiles before flaring his wings to catch the air and turn potential energy into kinetic to gain forward progress out to sea. He far and away the nuttiest professor now. Time to square accounts with my maker on account of my curiosity to account for everything. Money is of no account now. From death, my life was a borrowed debit, but I spent it, loved it, and lived it on good fortune's credit. It was no use. Profat was going to fall into the ocean. He could sense the moisture, almost taste the brine, and was soon going to swim with the smell of the fishes. Good try, said Prof to Pat, his other self saying, but you're not going to pass this course. It's okay, said Pat to Prof. I'm dropping out. My number is up. Good old Prof was ready to yin his yang in the fine way that he lived, in the black. All the books balanced except for a spot of white in the darkness of the yin. What's that below? The landing lights of the Ninja carrier's heliopad flashed on in the glorious pattern of heaven, heat and light, combined with earth dark and cold, each revolving around the other, the yin-yang symbol of a cyclic and rounded life. And Profat dropped 30 feet, gave one last push forward, and landed just as the carrier's lights went back off. Well, that is my questionable long and arduous search. See, Quest Great Expedition, I train you a number of things. I am 9.0 degree Grandmaster. Do you know accounting, Grandmaster, 9th degree ninja, Emperor of the Multiverse? Just call me number 9. I know good account. Get digits mixed up, but make million that way. What you do on other ledger side? I color quarks through the prism of superstrings and theorize the emission of an electron from the proton. True, so that's why I couldn't afford a helicopter. Yes, Pat Prof, and so you see that we only see inside of head where all is fabricate. I agree, I fabricate you. Scents and odors fabricate from molecule shapes in the nostrils, and sounds fabricate from air vibrations as well as colors from waves and even the illusion of light itself in a dark head, especially during my favorite pastime of sleeping and dreaming. You good illusion of physical world, being like some TV tuner received broadcasts from far. But you somewhat out of touch from doze too much, so I teach you touch base 10 feet away with invisible 10-foot pole, with my girlfriends around or not around. I don't know about that. That'd be touchdown, but recall for illegal procedure. Now what touch lately? That's personal. Ah, sorry. Why kids touch something when tell not to? It all started in the Garden of Eden. Ah, very touching story of dumb people made by smart God. You're still holding 2 apples. Ah, yes. You funny. We make applesauce and welcome you for training. Grandmaster Professor and temporal toe protector of universe that can someday give good life to all.